Here is your latest African news. Africa-wide, the European Union wants Africa's support in the Ukraine conflict. The European Union delegation in Tanzania has called for Africa's support in Ukraine-Russia war. The 8 ambassadors representing Poland, France, Finland, Germany, Italy, Netherlands, Sweden, and Spain convened a news conference at the French ambassador's residence in Dar es Salaam. Also present at the conference was the ambassador of the EU delegation to Tanzania. This coercion by the EU comes at a time when almost half of African countries, including Tanzania, abstained from voting at the UN Security Council when the issue was brought to vote on March. Leading the delegation was the French ambassador Nabil Hajlawi, who expressed dismay towards Russia's aggression and said that France, along with the international community, condemned the move by Russia. He said all of Africa should join Europeans in condemning the Ukraine war. Ethiopia. Ethiopian government declares indefinite unilateral truce to allow aid into Tigray. Ethiopia's government has declared an indefinite humanitarian truce effective immediately, saying it hopes to help hasten delivery of emergency aid into the Tigray region, where hundreds of thousands face starvation. Since war broke out in northern Ethiopia in November 2020, thousands have died and many more have been forced to flee their homes as the conflict has expanded from Tigray to the neighboring regions of Amhara and Afar. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's government has said it is committed to exert maximum effort to facilitate the free flow of emergency humanitarian aid into the Tigray region. Fighting has dragged on for over a year, triggering a humanitarian crisis. Humanitarian organizations have been forced to increasingly curtail their activities because of fuel and supply shortages and theft by the TPLF. The government previously declared a unilateral ceasefire in Tigray in June last year after the TPLF retook the region from federal force, but fighting intensified in the second half of 2021 before reaching a stalemate. Zimbabwe. Mnangagwa threatens to expel NGOs. President Emerson Mnangagwa has threatened to expel non-governmental organizations from Zimbabwe, saying they have lost their mandate. Addressing delegates at a ZANU-PF campaign rally, Mnangagwa said NGOs that defy his government's policy will be chased out of the country. This comes at a time his administration is in the middle of enacting a private voluntary organization which will regulate the operation of NGOs in the country. The PVO bill has provisions that seek to criminalize the work of non-governmental organizations by proposing harsh penalties including jail time of up to 1 year for perceived offenses. The bill also gives the government and the minister responsible for CSOs and trust excessive powers, which will enable them to interfere with the operations of these bodies, giving it the potential to disrupt non-governmental organizations, NGO activities, and financing. NGOs will be required to submit their plans and work to the government. Mali. Mali sees some sanctions suspended. The Court of the West African Economic and Monetary Union has ordered the suspension of its sanctions against Mali, pending a detailed court ruling. The body spokesperson said, in January, the organization instructed the suspension of all financial institutions under its wing in Mali after its ruling military government decided to delay elections meant to restore civilian rule after coups in 2020 and 2021. A month ago, the military government, which had repeatedly asked for the sanctions to be lifted, filed a complaint with the UEMOA Court of Justice to overturn the decision. According to the interim government, the sanctions have severe consequences for the population, with Bamako blaming them for debt defaults worth $180 million since January. The court's ruling does not apply to sanctions imposed by the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS. The regional bloc, which is organizing an extraordinary summit of the situation in Mali, froze Malian state assets and suspended non-essential financial sanctions. Mali's military leader, Colonel Assimi Goïta, has been invited to take part in the meeting but has not confirmed his attendance yet. Africa-wide. French presidential candidate threatens to seize African leaders' homes if they don't take back immigrants. French presidential candidate Eric Zemmour has said that he could seize the homes of African leaders and block remittances to their countries if they fail to take back immigrants, as he seeks to reboot his flagging campaign. A former political commentator has made immigration and security the center of his campaign and say that if elected, he would create a ministry of re-immigration that would forcefully deport hundreds of thousands of African immigrants over his 5-year term. Kenya. Fire destroys 6,500 acres of Mount Kenya forest. A raging fire has destroyed more than 6,500 acres of moorland in the Mariana section of Mount Kenya Forest. According to Kenya Forest Service, the fire that broke out over the weekend was spreading fast due to hot weather and strong winds. Despite deployment of firefighters from KFS, Kenya Wildlife Service, Kenya Defense Forces, Mount Kenya Trust, Rhino Ark and the community, the fire was still spreading. The efforts by the firefighters have been hampered by the rugged terrain, which has made it impossible for water boozers to access the area. Mount Kenya Trust has been on the forefront in fighting the fire and states that the fire reignited hours after being successfully put out. The severity of the wildfires have had adverse effects on the natural ecosystem, killing hundreds of wildlife in the process of cutting down the vegetation. Mount Kenya, which is the second highest mountain in Africa, is a heritage site and contains different types of wildlife, lakes, glaciers, dense forest, and mineral springs. The fires have some ecological effects like increased erosion and water runoffs. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, follow, share and like our video. It's the best way of supporting us. Great news! You can now buy our Africans children's book Maua and the Gardens of Plenty, a book that teaches children the power of great ideas. This book is the best way to start exposing your children to African stories told by Africans. Find the purchase link in the description below. You can directly support this new series by becoming our YouTube member, Patreon or donor. And remember, Africa is watching.